Claude has actually gone and bloody done it. They've officially won the AI wars. Claude 3.5 Sonnet is a much better model than Opus, and Opus was already the most intelligent model. Just think about that for a second. Sonnet is better, faster, cheaper. It's free to use on the front end. The API costs are much less. I've got a cold. I'm tired. We've already released a goddamn video today, but we needed to talk about this. Let's get into it. So for those of you that don't know, we've used Claude for basically everything, and that includes Harbor. You can find a link to a form to sign up for Harbor in the description of this video. This has officially just made Harbor even better. Let's talk about what this update actually means. So you can see here on my screen, today we're launching Claude 3.5 Sonnet, our first release in the forthcoming Claude 3.5 model family. Claude 3.5 Sonnet raises the industry bar for intelligence, outperforming competitor models and Claude 3 Opus on a wide range of evaluations, with the speed and cost of our mid-tier model, Claude 3 Sonnet. That's just already, just that first paragraph is absolutely game-changing. So you can see here on this diagram right here, the cost and the intelligence, well, the cost is going down and the intelligence is going up. So that's just completely crazy. It's significantly cheaper than Claude 3 Opus. When I talk about cheaper, just for people who don't understand, I'm talking about the API, which we power a lot of what we do internally using Claude. So you can see here, it says the model costs $3 per million input tokens, $15 per million output tokens. Claude Opus was 15 and 75. So if you've got an app like we have that's powered by Claude, your app has just got significantly better. Claude 3.5 Sonnet sets new industry benchmarks for graduate level reasoning, undergraduate level knowledge, and coding proficiency. So coding proficiency is particularly important for what I do personally, because I like to build, little SaaSes, little projects, little auto bloggers, whatever it might be. It shows marked improvements in grasping nuance, humor, and complex instructions. This, again, is massive for people who like to do very prompt engineering heavy projects, and is exceptional at writing high-quality content with a natural, relatable tone. So again, this is just, everything is just an improvement for what we've been working on and what we're working on for clients. Claude 3.5 Sonnet operates at twice the speed of Claude 3 Opus. So if you ever use Claude, you'll know that it's actually quite slow, especially on the front end of Claude. So it's now twice the speed. This performance boost, combined with cost-effective pricing, makes Claude 3.5 Sonnet ideal for complex tasks such as context-sensitive customer support and orchestrating multi-step workflows. That's huge. In an internal agentic coding evaluation, Claude 3.5 Sonnet solved 64% of problems, outperforming Claude 3 Opus, which solved only 38%. Our evaluation tests the model's ability to fix a bug and functionality to an open source code base. I'm not going to read the rest of that. You can read it for yourselves if you want. But this is the magic kind of diagram. You've probably seen these diagrams many, many times, or these tables. This is how you can see how good the model is. So you can see it's a significant improvement on 3 Opus. This is a 9% increase, for example. This is a 2% increase. But that 2% increase can make all the difference when you're building something like Harbor. This one here is an 8% increase. These numbers are absolutely crazy. It's also significantly ahead of GPT-4o. In case people are curious how it compares to GPT-4o, you can look at the third column here, and you can see that it's actually an improvement on most things compared to GPT-4o. And it's also as quick as GPT-4o. So a lot of people, they use GPT because it's quick. Well, now you've got a model that's more intelligent, better with context, and is free, and is also extremely quick. So they're making changes to vision as well. This is really, really important, but it's not necessarily important for what we're doing, but I will talk about this quickly. So Claude 3.5 Sonnet is our strongest vision model yet, surpassing Claude 3 Opus on standard vision benchmarks. These step changes improvements are most noticeable for tasks that require visual reasoning, like interpreting charts and graphs. Claude 3.5 Sonnet can also accurately transcribe text from imperfect images, which is also very, very interesting, which is a core capability for retail, logistics, and financial services, where AI may glean more insights from an image, graphic, or illustration than from text alone. So again, there's another one of these tables. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but it looks like they've made some huge improvements in vision as well. But then this update here is super interesting to me because I actually just did a little test of this. And what they've done is something that hasn't been done by any other kind of AI chatbot just yet, which is that you can actually create a React app inside Claude and it will actually render the app. So we may as well just quickly go into that because I think that's incredibly interesting. So I'm just going to say, render me a React app with a homepage for a diving company, for example. And let's see this in action. So what it actually does is it's going to create this in a completely separate kind of Visual Studio Code thing. And then after, it's actually going to render it. So this is really interesting because you can almost use this as its own copilot or its own coding thing. So look at that. It's actually rendered the website, which is just absolutely crazy. No one else has done this. I mean, look at that. It's just done that in, really short amount of time. Super interesting. I mean, it's not necessarily important for big projects like what we're doing with API and things, but just for coding, coding apps, whatever it might be, it's super, super interesting. So it's actually just created and then rendered and run its own React app within itself, which is just, I mean, that's just completely crazy for me. And I think that's a really, really interesting update. I'm going to be playing around with the coding of this, obviously, because I love AI coding, and this just looks like a huge improvement on anything that we've seen before. So that is super interesting as well. I think artifacts are going to be kind of one of the things that sets Claude apart from GPT 4.0. I think they've done that really, really well. Now, the last one is commitment to safety and privacy. I'm not going to lie, I don't care about that, so we're just going to skip through that. If you want to read about safety and privacy, feel free. The final bit here is very important, though, which is coming soon. And if you just read this here, we'll be releasing Claude 3.5 Haiku and Claude 3.5 Opus later this year, which if you go by their kind of scaling tier system, Claude 3.5 Opus will be as fast, but potentially way more intelligent than 3.5 Sonnet. So the things that are coming as well are super, super interesting. Now, let's just have a little look at some more technical things because there are some really, really interesting things here. So I want to focus specifically on agentic coding because for me, coding is probably the most interesting thing. So like it said before, Claude 3.5 Sonnet solves 64% of problems compared to 38% of Claude Opus. Now, if you haven't really used Claude, you have to know that Claude is actually significantly better at coding than ChatGPT 4. Now, ChatGPT 4.0 was supposed to be a step forwards for ChatGPT, but in my opinion, Opus was still better than ChatGPT 4.0, and you can actually see that 3.5 here is actually another step up. So, I mean, the knock-on effect of this is that people are going to be able to program with AI even better. AI tools like GPT Pilot are going to get better. Anything powered by Claude is going to get better, and we're all here for it. So it's super, super interesting. I do want to show you a couple of other things. You can just see just how much better Claude 3.5 Sonnet is than something like 3 Opus or Sonnet or Haiku. 3.5 is just a step up in every single way possible. And then this one for me is particularly interesting. So this is kind of the nozzle that they turn to give intelligence to a model, in my opinion, okay? It's the amount of the internet that Claude has read, okay, or that the large language model has read. Now, that's just me spitballing. I'm not an expert necessarily on the ins and outs of AI or how one of these large language models works. But in my opinion, what they do is they turn that nozzle and they say, okay, now you can read 80% of the internet. instead of 60. And that extra reading of the internet makes the model more intelligent. And the end result of that is where in, for example, finance, and if you read here what these actually are, these plots show per task human preference win rates, which means they get Claude 3.5 Sonnet, Claude 3 Opus, Claude 3 Sonnet, and Claude 3 Haiku to write something about finance, and then give it to a human, and the human will say, I prefer this. It's a blind test, and they say, okay, this one's the best one according to my expertise. So what does that mean for us? It means that the content produced by Claude 3.5 Sonnet will be significantly better automatically without prompting, if that makes sense. So one of the kind of benchmarks of a good AI large language model is its ability to do something amazing or do something intelligent without heavy prompting. So normally what you would do is you would give a really detailed prompt. Maybe you would give 3 or 4 prompts, and then you'd say, now write me an article. However, if it can already do like law at 82%, so the writing done by Claude 3.5 Sonnet was preferred by lawyers or experts 82% of the time over Opus. That means out of the box, 3.5 is significantly more intelligent at doing very specific tasks. So you can see here, 3.5 Sonnet wins on everything except harmlessness, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. That seems like a bad thing, but I don't even know what that is. But I mean, that's pretty interesting. Multilingual, this is huge as well. Obviously, one of the biggest struggles that these LLMs have are talking in different languages, writing in different languages. So multilingual improvements are always welcome as well. And then a couple more things I want to talk about before we go. Claude can now use tools. This is something that happened 20 days ago. I didn't cover it on the channel, but you can actually use tools within your SaaSes or whatever you're doing, Python scripts, and they're like functions in ChatGPT, and functions have effectively been activated so that you can actually, you can do what you can read here. You can convert natural language requests into structured API calls, answer questions by searching databases or using web APIs, which is really interesting, automate simple tasks through software APIs, orchestrate multiple fast Claude sub-agents for granular tasks, and other things as well. I think now, if you build something with Claude, which we have, and anyone can build something with Claude, it's really not that difficult, using Claude to basically program itself, you can do some very, very interesting things. So I really, really recommend, if you don't know how to program, learning about how to program with AI. Now, the last thing we're going to do before we go is do a couple of tests just to see how good this tool is. So the first one that everybody does, of course, is code an entire game of Snake in Python. So we'll hit enter there, and while that's loading, we'll go on Visual Studio Code. Actually, we might not need to. Wait, is this just gonna... Am I just gonna play Snake in Claude? Let's just wait a second, see how this works. Surely, no, okay. Yeah, it doesn't run itself, it's fine, okay. So let's do new window. Actually, I'll just do one here. So we'll do hi2.py, there we go. Obviously, what else would I call it? Copy contents, Control V, Control C, there's no errors, so we'll do Python hi2.py. And yeah, I mean, it's just the standard Py game. It does have this little thing where I can play again, which is pretty cool, which, other ones that I've done have not had that play again option. There's no scoring system here. I wouldn't say this is necessarily significantly better than the other ones that I've done. Now let's just do my classic test just to see. This is almost like the test to see whether or how much better this is going to make Harbor effectively. So I'm going to paste this prompt. You might have seen me do this before. It's basically a lot of iSuits products, and they're all mixed up. And I just want to see how good it is at choosing very specific items. So I'm going to say, please choose 10 products that would be good for an article about black tie attire for men. And then we're going to hit enter here. The best thing about this is just how quick it is. So you'll see it's actually slowed down, I think, because people are using it, I guess. So this is a black suit, that's fine. This is fine. This is fine because it's a smoking, which you can actually wear. It's chosen a white shirt specifically, which is perfect. Hoodie is a terrible one. Burgundy leather belt, perfect. Sneakers, again, not great. Scarves, you could wear a scarf. This is a grey suit, so not really. And this is also blue, so you probably couldn't wear this. So it's got about 6 out of 10. I did this before and it got 8 out of 10, which is the highest that I've ever had. And then finally, what we can do is we can give this a writing prompt and just see how good this writing is. You can get this prompt in the description of the video as well. And it's just gonna, it's so quick, it's actually insane. I can't believe how quick it is compared to Opus. That is probably the biggest and most important change. Let's just let this finish. And then we'll put it in Markdown to HTML. And yeah, this should be done soon. Now, it has picked some items that you wouldn't necessarily want to wear at a black tie event. But I will say, like I just said this, but I do want to reiterate this. It did do an incredible job before, and it shows 8 out of 10 before, which is the best I've ever seen. You know, the content's really, really good. I wouldn't say you could wear most, well, you can wear most of these, but not all of these to a black tie event. It's got a nice list. Yeah, it's perfect. It's much faster. It's free. Now you just need to have a mobile number. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you're watching all the way to the end, you're an absolute legend. And I'll see you soon with some more content. Peace out.